often when you have some sort of digestive ailment, if you've been diagnosed with a digestive health issue or your stomach is off or wonky, if you go to the doctor, unfortunately, you don't often get someone who talks to you about your food. Typically, depending on the severity of it, you may or may not be sent for a colonoscopy, and then often you're given medication. And the other thing that happens is, as the situation resolves itself, nobody continues to talk to you about your food and nourishing your body, which is why I am just delighted to have my colleague and the author of this amazing book, the Healing Diverticulitis Cookbook, with me today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then we are just going to dive in and talk about gut health and gut wellness. So my guest today is Terri Ward. And while driving cross country, Terri Ward had an aha moment about her purpose in life. She realized that her health issues were a blessing, not a curse. They ultimately made her healthier. Having recovered her own health with nutritional therapy and lifestyle changes, Terri set out on a mission to help others. She went back to school, left a successful career as a CPA. Kudos to you for that. And now helps busy people with food sensitivities, autoimmune disease, and other gut health conditions. Clients from around the globe come to Terri sick, tired, confused, and frustrated by previous failed advice, and she helps them create a sustainable nutrition plan to heal their gut, reduce inflammation, and take back their health without spending a fortune. Terri, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
And one of the things that I love is we both have a very similar journey. So you used to be a CPA, which I am incredibly in awe of, because me and math are still learning how to be friends. And I used to be a database administrator, and we both had a health issue, a gut health issue that wound up turning into a completely different direction and a career shift.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit about your story?
The great thing about writing this cookbook was that I got to use both sides of my brain, because that part is still there. I'm very detail oriented. When I was doing the phases, I had to count the number of grams. Normally, I don't have my clients count calories or anything else, but for this cookbook, it was really important and also eye-opening, where you go, oh my gosh, I'm probably not getting enough fiber. But in the cookbook that came out in April, that was where I really geeked out, because their prowl scores for this book are all over the map.
Yeah, the meal prep book.
And they wanted my recipe to be alkalizing or acidifying. And so I'm sure my publisher never expected me to build a spreadsheet to calculate the prowl score of every single recipe, but I did, because I didn't really see another way to be as accurate as I wanted to be. And I think it also comes into play. I had a client tell me when I announced that I was selling my CPA practice, he said, I think you're going to do great as a nutritionist because you're both careful and caring.
Oh, that's very sweet.
That really meant a lot to me. But the hours and the stress of that condensed tax season were just not good for my health. And then it was okay when I was working from home, but then when I got bigger and I moved out, and when I was at other firms, you don't have the healthy stuff to reach for. So you're just eating whatever's available. And my gut was a mess. When I was working for the big firms before I went out on my own, I could hardly get out of the bathroom in the morning to go to work. You know,
I know. And that's such a hard thing. If someone's not going through that, to understand the challenges of having to know where a bathroom is within 90 seconds or less at all times is really challenging and very overwhelming, because it's also something that we're not comfortable talking about societally. And so then we start having a lot of internal dialogue that is not helpful at all. And the other thing that I think is really challenging, and you do talk about this in the book, unfortunately, many medical professionals, they tend to compartmentalize what's going on. And so, for example, my personal condition is ulcerative colitis is my primary autoimmune health issue. But my gastroenterologist didn't want to talk to my endocrinologist, who didn't want to talk to my cardiologist, they don't want to talk to each other. They want to keep them all in nice, neat little pockets.
They call it staying in your lane.
But if you have one autoimmune condition, chances are there's other comorbid conditions. Can you share a little bit about that?
I like what you said about the categories. MDs are great at diagnosis, and you can glean from that and know the starting point. Okay, what do I do? But it doesn't tell you how to get healthy, how to get well. And I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome. You know, my gastroenterology teacher admitted that it's a bucket diagnosis. I actually think it probably, I had the symptoms, so I guess I wasn't truly misdiagnosed, but it wasn't the root cause of my problems. And I ultimately think, but we'll never know, because I will not add gluten back in my diet to be tested for celiac. But when I went to a gastroenterologist, he said, I did a functional medicine timeline for him. He's like, I think you've probably had that since you were a kid. I said, yeah, I think so too. And because once I eliminated gluten, that was the pivot point for me. I did a lot of things along the way. I eliminated dairy, which I can't tolerate. Got a little better, but when my granddaughter was born, that there were some things that transpired. She would have been considered colicky, but it was gluten in her mom's breast milk that was triggering her. And then my son did the test, and my kids got the HLA-DQ celiac gene from me and the DQ2 from their dad. So we know the grandkids are probably have at least one of those. We're all pretty much gluten-free and dairy. My daughter's family is not totally dairy-free, but yeah, that was the pivot point for me. And when my gut finally started to heal, as you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but it definitely was the answer. And that would indicate autoimmune disease. But as you can see, I have vitiligo too. I've had that for decades.
And I think one of the other challenges, I personally, like you, have been the recipient of some very wonderful medical care, but it only goes so far. It doesn't talk about how to nourish your body and how to support your system. And one of the big challenges that I find for so many of us is how difficult it is for those around us. Like, I know when I was first going through my personal journey, I wish I had your book, because there are fabulous real food recipes in here. And pumpkin seed pesto, chicken enchiladas. And I would have so many people like, I don't know what to feed you. I don't know. And
I know. And that's
myself. I save lives. Yes, it does. And I honestly, I was still learning. I didn't know how to feed myself either. And then even as I learned, I realized afterwards that it probably took me a little bit longer at certain stages of what I was going through, because no one also talked about things like different levels of fiber in the diet. There's a low fiber level, there's a higher fiber level, there's a maintenance level. And
not everybody can tolerate the same level.
And
even at different phases, I think there's still bio-individuality amongst people.
So true. And I also love how in the book, I'm looking for it right now, you also talk about the role of diet and what to do during a flare, and then how to handle it after a flare. And when you're working with clients who have gut health issues, that's one of the things that's challenging too, because like you said, it's so bio-individual. Like, it's not okay, do this for 2 weeks, and then we're going to do this for 2 weeks, and then we're going to do that, and we'll be fine. Everybody's body is different.
And you've got some people just sail through, and some people have setbacks, and you just have to work with your body and really get in touch with it. That's why that food, mood, and poop journal in the back of there is just so important, because with diverticulitis, individual triggers are so different with people. They used to say, don't eat the nuts, the seeds, the popcorn, and that. But now the scientific evidence actually shows those are helpful because they're high fiber foods. But
Right.
lettuce can set a lot of people off, but not everybody. And so you really just need to, when you start tracking it, you'll learn to listen to your body better.
And that's important, I think, also for a lot of people, is learning to connect with your body and really understand. We're not taught how to do that. We're not taught to equate our food with how we feel. So learning how to do that is really important.
I've got a extended family member that I sent her for a celiac test. And she had it too since she was a little kid. And she just thought all her symptoms were normal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had the experience. This is bad, but I have a cousin on the other side of the family whose gas pains, I guess, when you have IBS or irritable bowel, you can have horrible pain.
Oh, yeah.
And she got sent to the ER because she was in so much pain. And then they laughed at her because the doctor said it was just gas. So do you think I was ever going to complain when I had those? No, I wasn't going to be laughed at.
And one of the things that's so important is learning how to check in with your body, but also how to support your body as you're going through this, from flare to that low fiber phase, that higher fiber phase. It makes it a lot easier because when you're connected, obviously you can really make those determinations. Oh, maybe that's not quite ready for the higher fiber. And one of the things that I love too is in the book, all of the recipes are tagged, whether they're high fiber or low fiber, which is great because I told you this before we hopped on, and there's also some clear liquid things for that flare phase. This is a cookbook that is really a cookbook. Like everybody in the family can eat this.
Oh, yeah.
The gelatin jigglers or the licorice ice pops, or that there's real food in here. It's nothing that's weird. It's nothing that's unusual ingredients. Maybe some of the lactoferments if someone's not used to those. Otherwise, it's just real food. And so I love how you put this together. And then can you tell us a little bit about your meal prep cookbook as well?
Oh, that one. The alkaline diet meal prep is based on the theory that our body needs an alkalizing environment to be healthy. And I wanted to do the cookbook because there's so many claims out there about it that aren't based on science. And I'm like, I'm going to get the science right. So I did the book, and I had heard a speaker from, I can't remember, Linda Fraschetto is a professor at one of the big California colleges, and she's a nephrologist, and she has a really long resume. It's just a wonderful person. And I'm like, would you mind looking at chapter 1 before I submit it? And she helped me through some things and just through figuring out the PROW scores, because they're all over the map on the internet. You just can't rely on them. And she has probably the most accurate method, but so complicated, none of us could do it without her spreadsheet and her training, I guess. She just said, use Thomas Reamer's scores. And if you can't find those, I found a site that I'm sure I mentioned in the book. I don't remember it right now, but I used it for the things I couldn't find in his studies because it matched his studies on all the things he did have, whereas all the other sites were just all over the place. And so it's really a different concept our body has buffering systems in place that keep our blood pH. the blood pH is really tightly regulated, and that's probably the biggest criticism is, oh, you can't change a pH, but you can change your urinary pH. And just like with toxins and stuff, you can overload your body's buffering systems if you're only eating acidifying foods. And what's acidifying isn't what you would always think, because like tomatoes are an acid food, but in your body,
alkalizing.
yeah, they are.
Same thing with lemons. I know that one always confuses people when I'm like, start with lemon water. And they're like, but it's an acid. No, not the ash. What it breaks down to is what's alkalizing. So one of the things that I'd love for you to share is, can we talk about why alkalizing is so important for people who have digestive health issues?
An alkaline environment is healthier. I mean, things like cancer like to grow in an acidifying environment. And again, I'm getting into the gray science area, but it's just easier on your body's organs. You know, your buffering systems, your kidneys don't have to work so hard. And if it's not recirculating things back into your system, then, you know, your gut and everything else in your body can do better. That's kind of how I look at it.
I also like to point out to people that when we shift to a more alkaline diet, it also means more veggies.
Yes, that was the thing that you'll see that between the two books, that's the commonality.
Yeah.
And I was so pleased when Dr. Jason Harlock reviewed my book. He was my gastroenterology teacher, wonderful man. And he said, I love how you incorporated so many different polyphenols. That's the different colored vegetables. And that's when you do eat those alkalizing foods, you're absolutely right. You're eating more polyphenols, you're eating more fiber, you're eating all the benefits of fruits and vegetables.
Sure, beta carotenes, luteins, all of those things that are so good for us.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to connect with you, where would they find you? Like, where are you on the internet or anywhere else?
My website is terriward.com, and I am on Facebook. I think it's Terri Ward. You should be able to see my picture and find me. I've started a group. It's really in the beginning stage, but it's called Healthy Guts, Healthy Temples with Terri Ward.
Oh, I love that.
I do plan on doing more gut health stuff in there for people with diverticulitis or really any other type of gut health issue, because we are seeing the commonalities, and the way that you restore your health has some commonalities. Of course, there's always individuality, but the principles are the same.
I think that's really such an important point. Our body is a temple, and we need to feed it well and take care of it, because it really is what allows us to be here and do all the things that we do. And like you, I believe the gut is the core to health. So if we have a healthy gut, the rest of us pretty much tends to fall in line. So
for sure.
It's really great.
I think the other thing to really consider is inflammation. That's key, not just to gut health, but to the whole body health. If you started a healthy diet, you could easily lose 5 pounds in a week just in inflammation.
Yeah, Elson Cos calls that false fat. It comes from inflammation. And so when we shift to something that's less inflammatory, we tend to lose weight. And what we're really losing is the swelling that comes from the inflammation.
Yeah. So. And that's the thing about diverticulitis too, is diverticular disease includes diverticulosis and diverticulitis. The osis just means that you have those pouches or diverticula in your intestine, but the itis, that as a medical suffix means inflammation. It can also mean infection. I don't think there's enough emphasis put on that it's inflammation. Let's keep your intestinal inflammation low so that you're not having those flare-ups. But people, they get stuck in that phase 2. They're just about to get out of it, but then they have another flare-up, and it's just sad.
Terri, this has been great. It's been so wonderful to talk with you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And thank you for this delicious cookbook. And I'm going to have to get the other one because that looks really good too. Meal prep is such a big thing in our busy lives these days. So
it is. And 6 weeks where you're spending minimal time in the kitchen is awesome. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to talk with you, folks. Please make sure to click down below to subscribe and make sure you hit that bell so you'll know when there's another video coming. Thanks for spending some time with us today to learn about gut health and wellness and tasty food. Take care.
Bye-bye.